All right, we're going to get started. Thank you, everyone. All right, good evening. I would like to call to order the special meeting of the City Council and the Elk Grove City Council regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, November the 9th. It is 6 p.m. Mr. Clerk.
And thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor noted, we're opening both a special meeting and a regular meeting. We'll be basically parking the special meeting until the conclusion and adjournment of the regular meeting, so that won't start until after we complete the regular meeting business. But with that, we will move on to the replay for our regular meeting. This meeting of the Elk Grove City Council will be replayed on Metro Cable Channel 14 on Friday, November 11th at 1 p.m. and Monday, November 14th at 2 p.m. It is being closed captioned and will be webcast at sacmetrocable.tv. City Council meeting videos are also archived on the city's website at elkgrovecity.org. For members of the participating audience who may have personal electronic devices, please place them on silent mode during the meeting or on mute when you are not speaking. The Elk Grove City Council welcomes, appreciates, and encourages participation in the City Council meeting. City Council requests that you limit your presentation to 3 minutes per person so that all present will have time to participate. City Council reserves the right to reasonably limit the total time for public comment on any particular noticed agenda item as it may deem necessary. Pursuant to Resolution Number 2010-24, no individual speaker concerning public comment may address the City Council for more than 3 minutes. If you wish to address the Council during the meeting, please complete our speaker cards. They're the blue cards that can be found at the back of the room or up here at the front, and provide them to the Assistant City Clerk, Brenda Hager, prior to consideration of the agenda item. And with that, Mayor, we will be moving on to the roll call. And I will commence the roll call, starting with noting that Councilmember Nguyen is absent. Councilmember Spies.
Present.
Councilmember Hume.
Here.
Vice Mayor Suen is absent. And Mayor Singh Allen.
Here. All right, next up is our Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite Councilmember Hume to lead us this evening.
Okay. Please address the flag. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll observe a brief moment of silence, please. All right. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. May I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next item, closed session.
And for a regular meeting, there are no closed session items on the regular agenda. That will advance us to Section 4, our presentations and announcements, starting with item 4.1, which is a presentation by the Wilton Rancheria Tribe.
All right, it's our great pleasure to welcome the Wilton Rancheria Tribe.
Chairman of Wilton Rancheria, and I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be here. I know we have a presentation that we've used not only at our facility, but with even some of the city council here, to kind of explain a little bit about who we are as a people. I think sometimes people, when they talk about indigenous people, they talk about us in past tense, that we're not here. And so again, this is a presentation that we've put together by our Director of Administration, and it kind of gives a history of kind of how we got to where we are today, and maybe give everybody a little bit of understanding of who we are. So I want to allow this time to have my Vice Chairwoman introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Raquel Williams. I'm the Vice Chair of Wilton Rancheria.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dalton Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Administration for Wilton Rancheria. Really honored to be in front of you all this evening and have a chance to talk a little bit about the tribe. I was told I have a little chunk of time. Try not to go too fast or too slow. This is some stuff that, frankly, I can nerd out on a little bit. I'm really into the tribe's history, being able to talk on behalf of the tribe to really give an understanding of who Wilton Rancheria is, where we come from in the past, where we're going in the future, and the importance of recognizing Wilton Rancheria as a sovereign government within the boundaries of Elk Grove. So I'll just dive right in, and I'll be around afterwards if people want to talk, chat, tell me I'm wrong, whatever. Well, I'll be here. And then, what was it to advance?
So if you pull out the keyboard,
Okay,
Mr.
that
Brown,
was it.
and then the arrows will advance, that should be able to advance you.
There
we
we
go.
go. I saw the pointer and I got excited. Just to establish us a little bit, in California, there's over 110 federally recognized tribes, depending on who you talk to on any given day. Down along the Arizona border, there's some tribes that count as multiple, some count as one, but over 110 federally recognized tribes. The American Indian population of California is about 2-ish%. The areas you see in red on the left are identified as Miwok historically, from the Bay area of Coast Miwok and Bay Miwok peoples all the way to the Sierras as we know them, was the traditional territory of Miwok people. And then Nisenan folks who make up the ancestors of Wilton Rancheria as well to the north. Looking at this map, you'll see some familiar names, including Elk Grove, pretty close to the center, up under Hopomni, which is a historical village. So these are villages that were situated all across the Elk Grove area out to the delta, and as far north as New Helvetia, which is essentially downtown Sacramento, where Sutter established his fort. You'll see Slough House in there, Elk Grove, Galt, our local area. As you can see, a lot of these villages were situated along the banks of the river. The Cosumnes River provided the lifeblood of a lot of Miwok tribes, providing salmon, providing the animals that came to it, and really was the lifeblood of Miwok people. Up to the north, the Sacramento American Rivers did the same for tribes in that area as well. So talking about California Indians and the history of Wilton Rancheria, a brief timeline, and this is really just a quick snapshot. The first explorer into California was around 1542. In 1769, kicked off the mission period on behalf of the mission system that explored from Southern California all the way up into the Bay Area and had incursions into the Sacramento Valley. 1848 and 49 kicked off the California Gold Rush in an era of Indian slavery, as well as the 18 unratified treaties that took place in California. 1880, federal Indian policy began, which is when the federal government really began to recognize the sovereignty of tribes and work with them, tribe to nation, under plenary power. In 1940 is the Assimilation and Termination era, as well as the 1958 Rancheria Termination Act, which is really integral to Wilton Rancheria's history. Some of you may know that as well, but I'll discuss it a little bit further in depth. 1965 to the 80s was the Indian Civil Rights era, really pushing for the American Indian religious freedom that was concurrent to the at-large civil rights movement in the United States. And then since the 80s is what's considered the current self-determination era and era of economic self-sufficiency. So things that happened here specifically to the ancestors of Wilton Rancheria. Starting in the early 1800s, Gabriel Moraga visited the Central Valley on behalf of the mission system and started to take folks back to Mission Santa Clara and Mission San Jose for baptism. In 1833, the Hudson Bay Company came into Sacramento Valley. Shortly thereafter followed a significant malaria outbreak that devastated local tribes and communities. 1839, John Sutter established New Helvetia in Sacramento. In 1848, gold was discovered in California, kicking off the 49 Gold Rush and eventual statehood. In 1851, following statehood, Wozencraft was an Indian agent, negotiated the treaty at the Fork of the Cosumnes, which deeded almost 300,000 acres to the ancestors of Wilton Rancheria and the surrounding tribes. However, that treaty was taken back to the federal government and never signed, therefore rendering it void. In 1871 was the end of treaty making with the United States. No treaties were enacted following 1871. And then in 1879, the first United States boarding school opened in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Briefly speaking about missionization, the first recorded Miwok baptism at Mission San Jose was in 1811. By 1836, over 2,000 baptisms were recorded at Mission San Jose of Miwok people. These were folks who were taken from the communities along our villages and along the river, taken to the mission, baptized into that system, and told to not be Indian anymore. Stripped away culture, access to language, access to people. Missions were not kind places. Those of you who have followed some of the rhetoric around Father Junipero Serra, his questionable sainthood, is a lot of rhetoric around the violence that took place in those historically, and some of the challenges that those pose to indigenous people trying to reclaim identity in those spaces. The villages at the bottom were historically known for fighting back against missionization: the Ochahamne, the Gualacomne, the Kasumne, and the Nopumne. In 1833, the malaria plague, as I previously talked about, was led by John Works in the Hudson Bay Company. And reports state from the head of the Sacramento to the Great Bend and Slough of the San Joaquin, we did not see more than 6 or 8 live Indians, while large numbers of their skulls and dead bodies were seen under almost every shade tree near the water, where the uninhabited and deserted villages had been converted into graveyards. And it's estimated that over 20,000 Central Valley Miwok, Yokuts, Wintun, and Maidu people perished as part of this malaria plague. And this is what people returned to from the mission system. When folks were able to break away, run away, or were released from missions, trying to come home, oftentimes villages just weren't there. There was a lot of integration into other local communities that adopted and brought them in. But again, that access and that loss of culture and loss of identity. And this is before the gold rush ever happened, and we know what happened there. The early settlement of the Sacramento Valley, the establishment of New Helvetia by Johann Sutter, known as John Sutter. There were initial uprisings along the Mokelumne and Cosumnes rivers, pushing back against his incursions. Sutter's Fort has a unique history. At first, it was an okay-ish place. A lot of tribes used it as a hub, but eventually, over time, forced labor began, and slavery essentially occurred at the fort. By 1846, the United States military arrived in Alta California under the command of John Fremont and were sent to quell the uprisings along the Sacramento Valley indigenous people. And by 47, Mariano Vallejo and John Sutter were appointed as Indian agents to liaise directly with tribes and were known, frankly, for their violence. I have a quote here that it's challenging to read, challenging to hear, but this is the reality of the history that occurred in this area. Heinrich Lienhard was a Swiss immigrant and served as Sutter's major domo. As the floor had neither beds nor straw, the inmates were forced to sleep on the bare floor. When I opened the door for them in the morning, the odor that greeted me was overwhelming, for no sanitary arrangements had been provided. What these rooms were like after 10 days or 2 weeks can be imagined, and the fact that nocturnal confinement was not agreeable to the Indians was obvious. Large numbers deserted during the daytime or remained outside the fort when the gates were locked. When we talk about the gold rush in the area of Indian slavery that occurred, in 1850, an act for the government and protection of Indians was passed. But by 1851, the California legislature authorized a payment of $1.1 million for the suppression of Indian hostiles. It's important to note that Peter Burnett, the first governor of California, in his message to legislature in 1851, said that a war of extermination will continue to be waged between the two races until the Indian race becomes extinct, must be expected. And by 1860, Indian children and vagrant Indians, and I use the air quotes importantly because the indigenous people were considered vagrant because they didn't have paper title to land, whereas historically that was never needed. But following colonization, that piece of paper became important. And were able to be put under custody of non-Indians for the purpose of employment and training that was not paid employment or training, and was widely practiced as Indian slavery until 1866 and the passage of the 14th Amendment. These things start to coincide and lead up to the creation of Wilton Rancheria, which didn't occur until 1928. Those who were around when Wilton Rancheria was created are the survivors of brutal genocide, forced relocation, and are those who fought for generations to survive. And in 1928, 38.77 acres was established as Wilton Rancheria for what were considered vagrant Indians, and again, the term vagrant, in Sacramento County. These are folks who didn't have title to land, often integrated with migrant worker communities, but were integral and part of the at-large community here in the Sacramento Valley, were relocated out to Wilton. That land is still there. Some of the historic buildings that made up the Rancheria are still there. If you travel down Wilton Road and at the intersection of Green Road, that is where Wilton Rancheria once existed, and where some of our elders and ancestors still have homes. By 1934, the Indian Reorganization Act was passed, which allowed for greater self-governance of tribes. So we're here, we're at a city council meeting. I'll ask, who believes in the Constitution? Right, we're part of city governments. I think you kind of have to at this point. Then you believe in tribal sovereignty. The Constitution establishes tribes as distinct sovereign bodies separate from the United States. The Indian Reorganization Act allowed tribes to act as those sovereign bodies. By 1935, Wilton Rancheria voted and established bylaws and a constitution, the same as any other sovereign. Not long thereafter, by 1958, the Rancheria Termination Act was enacted. This came from the federal government during an era of there was this financial burden that the United States sought to rid itself of responsibility to Indian tribes that it saw was burdensome to the federal government, and went after specifically rancherias because they did not have treaty protections. And I mentioned the 1851 unratified treaty previously. Had that treaty been ratified by the United States Congress, the tribe that would have been created at that point in time could not have been terminated. However, lacking that treaty protection, the tribe was terminated by the federal government officially on March 10th, 1961, after the tribe was forced to repeal its constitution. Looking at big picture, where the tribe comes from and where it's going, 28 we were established, 58 was the Rancheria Act. It wasn't until 2007, after decades of ancestral and elder organizing, selling fry bread at community events to pay for attorneys, and we're actually very fortunate that Chairman Tarango's mother was the chairwoman at the time, even though we were federally unrecognized, who pushed and fought and lobbied for that federal re-recognition and was able to push for a federal lawsuit to stick against the Department of the Interior. And on June 8th, 2009, Wilton Rancheria was restored of its federal recognition by the United States government that once stripped it away 50 years previous. 2 years later, the tribe adopted a modern constitution in November of 2011. And it was quickly thereafter in 2017 when the tribe was approved to take 38 acres of land into trust on behalf of the tribe, thanks to some of you all in this room who made that happen, and the work that was done there. And that brings us to now. Back in August, we were able to open our Sky River Casino. I'll talk about that in a second. But thinking about our tribe, big picture, like 30,000 feet snapshot here. Little over 900 members currently. About 60% reside in and around Sacramento County. Our folks remained local. Following termination, following relocation, a lot of folks stayed in the greater Sacramento area. A lot of folks downtown. A lot of folks here in Elk Grove, really, who are part of our community. Over 30% of our membership is below the age of 18. We are extremely young. We are going to be a very large tribe in 20, 30 years. And that's beautiful. And it's really powerful. We see some of the impacts of termination to this day, though. That lack of access to education, that lack of ancestral knowledge, that lack to culture, language, those things have really affected our community. We see a high unemployment rate, a low median household income, and many without health insurance. And one of the things that we are really poised to focus on in the coming years is the reclamation of culture, identity, and language. When a tribe is terminated and it's told you're no longer Indian people, you don't have access to that information. Your tribe is disbanded. You can try and organize as much as you can, but you lose access to the federal resources that allow you to practice that. So it's important that we now have the resources, we have the funding, we have the infrastructure to go after our ancestral knowledge. And when I say this knowledge is literally locked up in ivory towers, I mean it. Just because I went to Stanford, I'm not picking on Berkeley when I say this. There are hundreds of thousands of remains of indigenous people in storage facilities at UC Berkeley that we cannot get access to right now. Even though the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act exists, there are complications to that law that make it very difficult to access and literally get ancestors back who were exhumed from burial mounds across the Sacramento Valley and put in storage containers for archaeological study. We are fighting every single day to get those ancestors back, to put them to rest and put them in the ground. It's a challenge we continue to fight. And the academic barriers. Yes, anthropologists and linguists came and studied California indigenous people. I have a master's degree from an Ivy League school, and I can't even begin to make sense of the way that linguists write and study language. So to try and turn that information directly over to our people and say, well, here's the language, now learn it, that takes years and years and years of refinement, of study, of accessing these institutions to learn how we can re-educate our communities because we lost that culture. And I'll talk about why federal recognition matters, and it's part of this. It's a legal definition, and that as sovereign nations, we're granted certain legal rights not common to other groups. So when you talk about tribes, it's not racial, it's not ethnic, it's not political. It's a little bit of all of that. We kind of say it's socio-political, and that identity is under attack literally today. There are arguments in the Supreme Court going on today about the Indian Child Welfare Act, which is seeking to, there's a group seeking to rid the Indian Child Welfare Act from law, which when an indigenous child is taken from the home forcibly or non-forcibly and given up for adoption, Indian Child Welfare Act says that that child must go to a family. First right is to a member of that tribe so that it can remain part of its community, part of its culture. And because of that socio-political, non-racial identity, we are able to do that. Unfortunately, there are folks out there who wish to rid us of that status. But being federally recognized comes with three important facets, which is territorial sovereignty. So our authority is organic and is not granted by the states in which Indian lands are located. There's the plenary power doctrine, which Congress and not the executive branch has the ultimate authority with regards affecting Indian tribes. And then that the federal government has a duty to protect tribes. And like I said, passage of the Indian Child Welfare Act was one of those duties to protect. And ridding ourselves of that would be a problem at best. But also the Violence Against Women Act, giving tribal governments the teeth to prosecute non-native offenders who are committing violence against women and other people on tribal lands, which previously did not exist prior to President Obama's reauthorization in 2012, if I'm getting that right. So it's important to understand that tribes are more than just a racial ethnic group. We are a sovereign body. We are a government within the government of California, within the government of Elk Grove, within the government of the United States. And that relationship matters. So there's over 570 federally recognized tribes that are sovereign tribal nations. And like I said, the Constitution recognizes that. And we have the right to self-determination. We create our own governance structures, we pass our own laws, and we enforce those laws through territorial sovereignty and our tribal courts. We have a functioning justice system as part of Wilton Rancheria, and we're really proud of that. This is a really rough org chart. This is as organized as I could get our very complicated structure. So Wilton Rancheria is created with 4 branches of governance. There's the Tribal Council, which is the legislative body. We modeled ourselves very similar to the federal government. There's the Office of the Chair, these 2 lovely folks behind me. That's our executive branch. They're tasked with enforcing the laws that are passed by Tribal Council and administering our office. Then we have our Tribal Court, which is our judicial branch. And then there's this kind of funny 4th branch, which is our General Council, which is all of our enrolled adult members who have the right to vote in tribal elections. As you see, Tribal Council and the Office of the Chair collectively oversee the Gaming Authority, which then oversees Sky River Casino. But the Office of the Chair is also tasked with overseeing our tribal governance structure of what we provide to members, which includes our Gaming Commission, which provides regulatory oversight to Sky River Casino, making sure that we are in compliance with the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act and federal statutes from the United States government. We have a Department of Health, which provides purchase-referred care to our tribal members, wellness programs, talking circles, elders food distribution programs. Our Department of Education offers culture and language classes, as well as scholarships to higher education, trade schools, vocational schools. Department of Economic Development, many of you may have met Chris Franklin. He's our economic development guy, who we really task him with getting out there and building the infrastructure so that we can fund these programs for our community. We also have a Department of Housing, Department of Indian Child Welfare, as I previously discussed, and our Department of Finance, who oversees all the change. I wanted to give a quick snapshot of why gaming. I think that's a big question that we're getting right now, is why does the tribe get to have gaming? So a really quick snapshot it goes back to the 70s, is that the Supreme Court said that tribes cannot, or that states could not regulate activities on tribal lands. Started with bingo halls. In 80, the Cabazon Band of Mission Indians opened a casino and bingo hall and was immediately raided for illegal gaming in California. And the Supreme Court ruled that Indian gaming on reservations is to be controlled exclusively by Congress, which then led to the implementation of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act that enacted tribes and states must enter into gaming compacts before gaming can occur on reservation lands, and that we have rights to all classes of gamings, class 1, 2, and 3, unless it clashes with state and or federal law. So real quick snapshot of why gaming is one of those things that it was almost a loophole that was found in California law that allowed for gaming to happen on tribal lands, but it's been a tool that dozens, if not hundreds, of tribes across California and the United States have used to build infrastructure and build their communities. that's where the partnership and why we're blessed to have Sky River Casino just down the way here. I tried to keep it as brief as I could, but millennia of ancestral knowledge and history is really difficult to condense to 15, 20 minutes. I will say if you want to reach out and contact any three of us, I would encourage you to do so. We'll be around. Thank you very much. Tangi Kamu.
Wow, thank you.
So, but before we close, I think you guys saw up there, language is a beautiful thing. When you talk about me, and if somebody asks me what makes me indigenous, what makes me native, it's not the thing down the street, right? It's my culture, it's my language, and it's just making sure that I'm following through with those cultures and the traditions that we've had. So with that, I'd like to close out tonight, if we can. Our amazing vice chairwoman, even though she'll call herself a student of our language, is one of our, I would say, fluent speakers. And so I know you guys may know Assemblymember James Ramos, who works down at the Capitol. And it's been a beautiful thing to see him take our culture and traditions into the Capitol. And maybe one day we could come here and share some songs in our own culture in this city hall or in this office space. But I'd like to have our vice chair close us out tonight in our language, and so that we could have it in these halls for not only for us but for you as well to share in it. Because not biased, but the English is it's nice, but there's something about our language that is it's a beautiful thing. So if you guys would allow us to close this out with a blessing or a prayer, whatever she feels.
Thank you, Chairman. And like Chairman said, it's one of those things to where we take pride in our language and we take pride in our culture and we take pride where we come from. But also, too, it's a reminder for all of us, right? All of us as this melting pot of Elk Grove to be mindful of who we are and to honor those places where we come from and honor those people who we come from. And we all have a legacy and we all come from beautiful people. Right. And so sitting here tonight, seeing everybody, it's one of those things to where sometimes we forget. And for us as ourselves to be honorable of where we come from and how we made it here. And so I'm just going to say a prayer, and I'm grateful to be here this evening. And I'm grateful to share space with all of you. And it's one of those things to where this was all of our destiny. Kuchihema expa chuneto sakako anexka echa amatma opoli sniapa anima neto silika echa anokila la huse kunato walinem tamekamo me waknu oyisa moko hoye yoyo expa esli am epili sa echa tamekamo hoye the aka winakas. Oh, and so meet walatukma, my heart feels good. Thank you.
That was just a wonderful presentation. I consider myself a lifelong learner, and I learned so much from this presentation. Thank you for sharing your rich culture, the history, because we must never forget the journey, not only how you got here, but all of the pain and the suffering. We must never forget. And so thank you for sharing that with all of us this evening. We'll transition, yes, we have our Native American History Month is next.
Yeah, I know we're about to move into a proclamation, but I just want to say, going back to those lawsuits and the agreement that was reached with the city, I'm on record of recognizing the atrocities that were created and happened in the past. But I hope and I wish, Chair Tarango, that thing over there really helps you on your path to self-sufficiency, your path to connecting back to your people, and your path to teaching the next generation about who you are and carrying those traditions forward. And so I just want to say that I don't know if you offer it up to people, but when I got the opportunity to come and visit your tribal space and see the programs firsthand and really realize how you're looking after your own and just the rich tapestry that exists within those walls. And so really, I wish nothing but the best for all of you. And thank you for that beautiful prayer.
Yes, thank you. Yep.
And so in the late 80s and 90s, my mom was a para-educator on the Rancheria. And that's where I first learned about the history. And so hearing from her and understanding what the tribe was going through at the time, I'm really happy that things have resolved better. And I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate you coming here tonight. One question I do have, because I've worked with a business in the past that had unfortunately come across ancestral remains. Can you give us a real quick, somebody finds ancestral remains, I know it's a very complicated issue, but someone finds ancestral remains, what should they do?
I'll give the legal answer. Call 911.
Right.
It needs to go to the county coroner. First and foremost, that has happened where people thought they found an ancestral burial, and then it wasn't. It was a more contemporary find. That has happened, but then the inverse has also happened. But if it is something where artifacts are found, beads, shells, remains are found,
Because there are many remains around. Folks
Yes.
don't know that there's a lot.
and we the Native American Heritage Commission and the tribe, we keep an inventory of where things are found and located. Those will never be made public.
Right.
Too many amateur archaeologists out there, unfortunately. But I would say, obviously, contact Elk Grove PD, Sac County Sheriff, and if you are in the greater area, we wouldn't mind a call either, just so we know what happened. And we can work with the Heritage Commission and the local authorities to eventually get that repatriated to the tribe for repatriation to the ground and somewhere more secure and safe. But that's phenomenal.
And if I could just add just to that too, I think, it's a beautiful thing that we're doing here tonight in kind of sharing some of the history. But it is very common that people may come across things and I always just go back to, how would you feel if that was something found of your own? And so when we buried our people, we sent everything with them. Everything that they needed here, they needed to take with them. We didn't keep keepsakes of our people. It went with them. And so again, for them to be at rest, it needs to be returned. And so again, I know sometimes I've heard stories where people get things and they want to put it here because they want to showcase it. It's not meant for that. That's somebody used that, whether it was a tool, it's a basket. And so out of respect for the people, we ask that you put it back, or you call the local tribes and say, hey, I found some artifacts. What would you like me to do? And 9 times out of 10, we're going to tell you, leave it there. We'll come to you, because it should be repatriated back to where you found it, not taken away from it. And sometimes you have to do that. But I would say, it's really more of an understanding. I know sometimes people want to showcase that, but again, the traditions that we have, we sent everything home with our people, or it got burnt with them. And so to honor that, I think sometimes this is a beautiful thing, because people could get educated and say, well, now I know, right? So just wanted to add that, but the legal piece, yes, contact 911
Sure.
first.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Will we have a copy of your presentation for our website? Can we also share that as part of our Native American History Month? Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, just,
Yep.
real quick, I wanted to thank you for that history lesson. I learned a lot, actually, and it's probably a really good history lesson to have maybe my 12-year-old daughter log back in and hear all that, because I don't think we teach this in schools. But both the chair and the vice chair talked about language being a beautiful thing, and as someone who speaks another language, I completely agree with you. So thank you so much for closing out the meeting with your prayer in your language for us. That was a real treat for us.
Thank you. All right, and with that, we will transition to our 4.2, our proclamation recognizing November 2022 as Native American Heritage Month. And my colleague here, Councilmember Spees, will read the proclamation.
All righty, and typically we love to shorten these up a little bit, but I don't want to shorten this up and in any way be disrespectful by taking this the wrong way. So if you'll indulge me in being a bit longer. So a proclamation in recognition of Native American Heritage Month, November 2022. Whereas Native American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes the accomplishment of the peoples who were the original inhabitants, explorers, and settlers of the United States. And whereas for millennia, before Europeans settled in North America, the indigenous peoples of this continent flourished with vibrant cultures and were the original stewards of the land. From generation to generation, invaluable cultural knowledge and rich traditions were handed down, which continue to thrive in Native American communities across our country today. Whereas the first to live on this land, Native Americans and their traditions and their values continue to inspire the ideas of self-governance and determination that are the framework of all communities. And whereas the Wilton Rancheria tribe is the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County, after decades of hardship and struggle, losing and then regaining their tribal status, having land put into federal trust for the tribe by the United States Department of the Interior, and most recently opening the Sky River Casino on August 16, 2022, the Wilton Rancheria and their tribal members show their strong resolve and perseverance. So now therefore it be resolved that City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby proclaims November 22nd as Native American Heritage Month in the City of Elk Grove and urges all residents to take the time to gain a deeper understanding of the diverse heritage of Native Americans, strengthen the preservation of Native American history, art, language, literature, anthropology, and culture, and renew awareness and appreciation, working as partners with Native Americans to build sustainable and healthy communities. And signed this day of 9 November 22. Thanks.
Thank you. So good to see you. Thank you. You did a great job. All right, that was great. Next up, we have our recognition of service of County Supervisor Don Natoli. Please welcome Supervisor Natoli to the podium. And I actually will read the entire recognition because Supervisor Natoli's 44 years of service is worthy of hearing all of the wonderful accomplishments that we could only hope to do in our own journey for public service. So today, the City of Elk Grove recognizes and appreciates Don Natoli, County Supervisor, 1994 through 2022. Whereas County Supervisor Don Natoli has had an illustrious public service career that spans more than 44 years, including 28 years as the District 5 County Supervisor, 16 years as the Chief Assistant to the previous County Supervisor, as well as positions on the Galt City Council and Galt High School District Board of Trustees. His lifelong dedication to Elk Grove residents, in addition to the broader Sacramento County community, is commendable and undisputed. And whereas throughout his long career as a county supervisor, Don Natoli has served on numerous boards and commissions, suffice it to say, whether an issue dealt with transportation, water, air quality, library services, or workforce development, he likely dealt with it, and yet he will be remembered by most for the small but important matters critical to all residents. Many have marveled at his ability to remember every name and life detail, creating the lasting feeling that no matter who you are, he cares and is listening to better understand each individual's perspective. Don Natoli's humble and kind nature is a living example of the old truth that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Whereas Supervisor Natoli will be sorely missed by his colleagues and the community of Elk Grove for his compassion, integrity, and nearly half-century commitment to good governance, his departure is truly an end of an era. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby thanks and celebrates Don Natoli for his dedicated service to the Elk Grove community and his lifetime of public service, and extends the utmost appreciation, esteem, and respect to him on the occasion of his well-earned and deserved retirement. Signed today, November the 9th, 2022.
Well, thank you, Mayor Bobby Singh Allen, and to my council colleagues and my colleagues, and certainly to folks here this evening, and the people of Elk Grove and the people of Sacramento County. It's been a truly remarkable opportunity to have served. I'm honored and humbled by your kind words here this evening. I certainly want to acknowledge Crystal Lazar's work. I know she has done some research, and certainly your attestation to all of that are very much appreciated. I'm very grateful for the kindness and certainly the words put forth, but also the friendship of the people in this room and thousands of others that I've had the opportunity to serve over the years that you mentioned. I'll just note too that listening to the presentation prior to this, certainly Chairman Tarango and Vice Chairwoman, and to hear about the history and those that have gone before us in this community that we call home and that we're given the privilege and honor of serving in. And so what I would just say to certainly all of you, my colleagues, and to folks in the audience, that we live in a very special place. And it's very special to people for a variety of reasons, for the history and the culture, for the memories that are made, for the achievements that are celebrated, for obviously the sorrows that we learn from oftentimes that help us make better, a better society and better ourselves and a better people. But Sacramento County is a great place as well. And it's been a real honor to have served in the capacity I've served in. I was given the opportunity, as most well known here, certainly by folks, by working with my mentor, my predecessor, Toby Johnson. And I know that just listening again to the presentation a moment ago, I know he knew very well for a long time Bill Franklin, who was a part of the tribal representation at the time, and obviously had worked with them. But I learned so much from him, as I've learned from each of you, and certainly you're very well served by the city staff, and certainly by the folks that make Elk Grove their home and a place where they raise their families and certainly contribute in so many ways. And so my life is very enriched and very fulfilled by having had the opportunity to serve and to have the trust and the responsibility that was placed in me by certainly the voters, but whether folks vote for you or not, you represent them, and I've been given the opportunity to roll up my sleeves to work on behalf of the people of this community and communities throughout Sacramento County, and it's been an honor to have served. I've learned so much, and again, my life is very full, and I've experienced certainly the joys and the I think happiness that comes with working on things that benefit folks. Certainly some of the trials and tribulations that oftentimes disappoint us, but I think again we have many good reasons why this community and the communities of Sacramento County, this state, this nation, this world are a better place because what people do, and sometimes we make mistakes, and if we learn from those mistakes and again pick ourselves up and continue to work in a positive vein, we can achieve great things. And so with that, I don't want to go long this evening, but other folks are going to recognize this evening. I want to say congratulations certainly to all the folks that you'll recognize. But it's a deep honor to be here in those chambers. Certainly I recall in my early years on the Board of Supervisors the struggles to cityhood, and I mentioned earlier today, I know Councilmember Hume was on a call, but we were recognizing some folks on the Sanitation District Board, but the struggles that this community and certainly the city of Citrus Heights and the city of Rancho Cordova went through to form their cities, and the newness of all that and putting the formation together. But you can all be very proud of the work that you do on behalf of the people that you serve and that I've had the opportunity to serve. So again, with no regrets, certainly with a lot of good memories and a sense of having been a part of something very good. I thank you for the recognition this evening. And again, as you noted, I'm certainly not going to disappear. Sacramento County is my home, and but I'll be in a different capacity. But I want to thank all those who've befriended me and certainly been a part of my life, and appreciate the recognition here this evening. It's a little odd. I've said this on several occasions over the last few months. Usually I like to be on that side presenting folks with the recognition rather than receiving it, but it's received in a spirit of sincerity, and I thank you very much for that. And it's been an honor to serve all of you.
Thank you. Wow. We'll start to the right. Councilmember Nguyen.
Yes, Supervisor Natoli, thank you so much. I had the honor of working with you even before I sat up here through my role at ARI, and I can say that I don't think you've ever missed a SETA governing board meeting, and I don't ever think you ever missed that I've known of a county board of supervisor meeting.
Very few.
Very few in your 28 years. And then I would also say that I don't think you've aged a bit. 'Cause I've been
You can
going
go
to
back
these
and look at some of those
meetings.
old pictures. I've aged a
I
bit,
went
so.
back and I just thought, God, he looks exactly the same. It's truly been an honor for me to be able to work alongside with you on how we can improve our community. And you've always had that heart for the community. I've always admired that about you because you've always put our community first, and you always made sure that you did what was right, what you felt was right, and that we would always be able to rely on you to do what would benefit the community and those that were struggling the most. And so I'm going to really miss seeing you there, but I know that your replacement is going to also have that same heart as you as well too. So thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to work with you these last 15 years.
Thank you, Stephanie.
So a lot's been said tonight, and so I certainly don't want to duplicate. But I think the one thing that I feel the most is that you, sir, have established the gold standard for public service. There are people who say, when I first wanted to, get involved in politics and public service, people said, that's the guy you want to be. That's who you need to be. And we need more Don Natolis in this world.
Yes.
So thank you for your service. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Well, I know you've been on a little adulation tour here, and I heard somebody told me you had to have a shipping container installed down at the ranch in order to put all of your mementos and things. And
I'll carry him with you right here.
And I just want to say that we had to schedule the other presentation first, just so people were reminded that there were a few things that happened before Don Natoli entered public service,
That's funny.
because it's been such a long time. But
Thanks, man.
what's said in that proclamation about you making everybody feel special and seen and heard, I first witnessed that. I was still on the planning commission, and I don't remember if it was a Veterans Day parade or a Western Festival parade, but I had the privilege of getting to drive you in the parade. And first of all, just having that opportunity to converse with you. But then I remember there was a guy like 3 deep standing on the side of the road that, hey, Don, and you asked him, did you get your mom's medication figured out? And, I mean, you knew some detail about his life that just let me know that this is not a hobby for you and has not been something that you do superficially. And I will echo Mr. Speece's words. I've been talking about you a lot recently, and sometimes in front of you. But I will say this, that we would be better off as a community, better off as a country, better off as a nation, and better off as a world if more of our leaders could model themselves after you. And so I thank you immensely for your 4 decades plus of service to our community. And I'm so glad that you got hooked up with your mentor and learned from him how to do it right. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Natoli, wow, what more can I add to the already so many wonderful things that have been said? You truly are the standard bearer of public service, what it means to work together in the spirit of cooperation and community, putting community above any politics. We live in super divisive, politically polarizing times, and you are a constant reminder of pragmatic leadership, nonpartisan leadership, just doing what's right for the community that has no political affiliation. And so I look to you for guidance because I want to be more like you. You are just one of those public servants that I've had the pleasure of encountering in my lifetime that truly cares for their community. So I'm honored that I got to know you, and I know this is not the end, but you've definitely earned some rest, and I can't wait to see what's next in store for you. Thank you so much, the entire city, the entire region, for showing us all a better way for public service.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Thank
One of the things next will be Levi's on a T-shirt. How's that? So,
There you go.
but
So
thank
we'd
you.
like to come down and present this to you.
Mayor and council.
Oh,
just
we have a video.
One quick
I
item.
forgot.
Yeah,
Oh.
though we have a
I
absence
forgot.
in a seat of our vice mayor, his thoughts are here for you, Supervisor Natoli.
Yes.
If you want to take your attention to the screen, or you can also step back and look at the bigger screens. But let me just pull this up and see if we're there. Let's see. Do.
Hi, Supervisor Natoli. I'm sorry we're going to miss your farewell presentation tonight. I'm out here in New York City, Rockefeller Center, and I'll be on a plane back when your presentation happens. I just want to thank you for your 28 years of community service, and thank you for giving me my start in the community with your appointment to the Community Planning Advisory Council 20 years ago. We wish you the best in your next adventure, and look forward to seeing you around town. Take care.
Thanks, Darren. Okay. Thanks again for your kind comments. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your comment. Thanks, Dale.
Okay, we'll do it up.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
That's a good
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Thanks, Ken.
You have some big shoes to fill. Huh?
Thanks again so much.
All right, next up is our proclamation recognizing November 2022 as Sikh American Awareness and Appreciation Month. I would like to call forward Gurjitinder Randhawa and other community representatives from the Sikh community. Please join us. All right, I will read this proclamation, Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month, November 2022. Whereas the city of Elk Grove, the state of California, and our great nation are enriched by the unparalleled diversity of our residents, and whereas Sikhs are the 5th largest religious group by number with more than 25 million around the world, an estimated 500,000 Americans are of the Sikh origin, and more than a third of the nation's Sikh population resides right here in California. And whereas Sikh Americans pursue diverse professions and walks of life, making rich contributions to the social, cultural, and economic vibrancy of the United States, including service as members of the United States Armed Forces, have made and continue to make significant contributions in public service, agriculture, medicine, trucking, science and technology, and distinguish themselves by fostering greater respect among people through faith and service. And whereas this month of November is significant for the Sikh celebrations of Diwali, the birthday of the first Guru, the founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in 1469, and the installation of the Sikh scriptures as the final and eternal Guru in 1708, and whereas today the city of Elk Grove seeks to recognize the diversity of its community and afford all residents the opportunity to better understand, recognize, and appreciate the rich history and shared experiences of Sikh Americans. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby affirms and proclaims November 2022 as Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month in the City of Elk Grove, and asks the community to contemplate and reflect and to inspire ourselves individually and our society collectively to work towards a brighter future. I would like to welcome Gurjitinder Randhawa, who is also on our commission for the Diversity and Inclusion Commission. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bobby Allen. First of all, I would like to congratulate Bobby Singh Allen for being re-elected as our city mayor. Stephanie Noon for Assembly Member, and Pat Hume for County Supervisor. I know that that is not being declared yet, but we are confident in the results so far. Each November, Californians are engaging in Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month. It has been regularly celebrated since the year 2011 in California, when a resolution was passed in California Assembly called ACR 97. Mayor Bobby Singh Allen also declared this resolution when she was director of the Elk Grove School District. Now all council members are doing the same in the city of Elk Grove for the last 3 years, I think so. I would like to thank the city of Elk Grove mayor, council members, and the community for commencing November as Sikh Appreciation Month. The Sikh community is extremely proud of being a part of this community. Sikh look different than others. After September 11, 2001, Sikh community faced a crisis in identity here in the USA. A lot of our Sikh brothers have been killed because of misidentity. This kind of resolutions help bond and secure for Sikh community. Sikh have been living in this country for more than 125 years. Sikh immigrants have labored on railroad constructions, project, lumber mills, and the agriculture heartland in California. Now the Sikh community is well established and continue to provide back to our community. They are doctors, engineers, scientists, businessmen, agriculturists, and politicians. While Sikh Americans have distinguished themselves in numerous areas of endeavor, they have demonstrated particular success in the area of agriculture, trucking, and medicine business. Thank you for the continuing to build awareness of our community. In your hand, I know Elk Grove will continue to be safe and secure under the watch of our faithful elected members. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proclamation. We'll come
Yeah,
down and
please.
present that. Okay, so we'll.
Good. You're hiding. Yeah.
Right there and look over there.
Oh, here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Go to one more. 1, 2, 3. She's gonna take one right here too.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Erica. Thank you.
As a proud Sikh American, these resolutions mean a lot, particularly in our school districts. It's the first opportunity for our students to learn more about the diversity in our community, particularly in our schools. And we still have hate crimes that take place, bullying. So while it may seem like it's a resolution, it actually goes a long way towards educating our greater community. So thank you for these opportunities that we have as a city council and in the greater community to teach others about our rich diversity. As the 7th most diverse city in the United States, these are important occasions to be able to celebrate that, but also gain deeper understanding. Thank you. Okay, next up is a proclamation recognizing Global Entrepreneurship Week, November 14th through 20th, 2022, and Global Entrepreneurship Month, November 2022, presented by Councilmember Nguyen.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And if I can have Samuel Taylor from Core Impact, Inc. come. Hi there. Hello. I'm gonna just kind of paraphrase some of this, and I want you to give us, just tell us about Core Impact Inc. And as we go through this, I think it's important that you kind of share many of that because you're an entrepreneur. So, as the mayor mentioned, this is a proclamation recognizing Global Entrepreneurship Month, and it's during the week of November 14th through the 20th. In the last decade, new jobs created throughout the United States have come from creative efforts of entrepreneurs, recognizing that many of that is due to innovation and inventiveness, and that small businesses are the key drivers of economic vitality across the greater Sacramento region. And that during the Global Entrepreneurship Week occurs in the second week of November, and it's the world's largest celebration of the innovators and job creators who's launched startups that bring ideas to life, drive economic growth, and expand human welfare. And during this time, the Greater Sacramento region's week-long celebration, there are dozens of local and regional events, each designed to highlight ideas to start and run businesses. And so finally, the City of Elk Grove directly supports entrepreneur innovators, small businesses, through a number of programs and platforms, including the Small Business Support Platform and the Startup Elk Grove Incentive Program, which are helping to build a more innovative and sustainable economy in Elk Grove. I do know that there are many entrepreneurs here in the city of Elk Grove, and that many folks have decided, many small businesses have found themselves to be very successful here. And so thank you for being here. This is signed by the entire city of Elk Grove, and so the floor is yours.
Well, first, I want to thank the entire council for having me. I'm truly honored. When I first heard about this, I was super surprised, but I'll take it. I also want to thank the Elk Grove Startup Incentive Program with Daryl and Luis, as well as the Carson Center in Sacramento. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am Samuel Taylor. I'm an ex-professional baseball player. I played with the, back then it was called the California Angels, I'm not that old, and the Cincinnati Reds. And I'm also the founder of Core Impact. Core Impact is a sports specific technological company that tracks muscle activity in real time. And the reason why I came up with this particular program in this company is just because as a former professional baseball player, I come from a deep root of individuals. My cousin was Willie Stargell. My father played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and my brother played for the Atlanta Braves. And I was supposed to be better than all of them, but I didn't last that long, only 8 years. But one of the issues, the key issues for me was understanding performance data, and that enabled me to be able to make it to the big leagues and stay. And so when I went back to school at the University of San Francisco, I studied biomechanical movement and kinesiology and saw the correlation between performance data and biomechanical movement, and felt that I could probably come up with a solution to kind of solve that problem and prevent other athletes from experiencing my fate. So that's kind of like how I came up with Core Impact. You guys don't fault me. I am from the Bay Area. My wife and I just moved here about 3 years ago. This is my second company, but my wife and I always look at each other over the last 3 years, and we're like, what took us so long to come to this community? This community has pretty much embraced us, and we want to do everything that we can to really provide opportunity here, because we feel like this is pretty much a gold mine where, you know, individuals can take advantage of not only our company, but other entrepreneurs that are coming up with really great and cool, innovative ideas.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We'll come down and present that to you.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
All right, next up is 4.6, recognition of the Youth Mixed Martial Arts Championships 2022 Team USA participants. And Councilmember Hume will be helping to present that.
Thank you, Mayor. And normally we do kind of summarize these proclamations, but since everyone has been read in its entirety so far, I don't want these young people to feel slighted, so I will read it as well. There are 5 of them that are exactly the same, and then we have 2 extra ones that are a little more special that we'll call out why that is here in just a minute. So the Youth Mixed Martial Arts Championships 2022, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, United States Representative Athletes. Whereas International Mixed Martial Arts Federation is focused on developing mixed martial arts as an international sport from the recreational level to the elite, driving the development of common sets of rules, safety regulations, structure, progression, pathways, and mutual exchange. And whereas the 2022 IMMAF, why didn't I just say that from the beginning? The 2022 IMMAF Youth MMA Championships for 12 to 17-year-olds took place in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates from August 17th to August 20th, 2022. And whereas the United Arab Emirates capital city saw 41 nations from all corners of the globe, bringing an approximate number of 498 athletes to the event. And whereas the United States was represented by numerous athletes and included competitors from the Sacramento region, led by the silver medal effort of Cora Wadlington, the bronze medal effort of Kona Lane, and the talents of team members Daniel Ariano, Andrew Barber, and Adam Maldonado Jr. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Elk Grove hereby joins the community in recognizing the talent and teamwork of our regional 2022 IMMAF Youth MMA Championships competitors, commending the coaches, families, and team members that displayed a collaborative spirit, building international goodwill as ambassadors in a competitive forum, and fostering the open, dependable, and progressive vision IMMAF has in supporting mixed martial arts competition. Signed this 9th day of November 2022. And if these 5 extraordinary young people will come up to the podium, we will come down there and present these in person. Yeah, that's right.
What are we doing here?
Who's Kona?
The blonde one.
Right on. And how about Cora?
The other blonde one.
There you go. What's up with the brunettes? You guys couldn't give medals?
Believe it or not, people are better than
There you go. There you go. And we must be missing one.
Daniel's not here.
Daniel's not here? Okay.
I will take pictures. Let me get in the middle.
You guys want to open your certificates?
That's a good idea.
Okay, as soon as I shoot, we got some pictures behind me, okay? So,
Yes, sir.
here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And these people are going to take pictures right here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
These are the standard ones and the management today. Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is public comment. I do not see anybody signed up to speak.
And we don't have any members of the public. Now would be the opportunity for general public comment for folks to sign up.
Last call for public comment. All right, well, I will go ahead and close the public comment opportunity and move on to our next item, our city manager's report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Jason Barron, the City Manager. Some items to report on this evening. City of Elk Grove and the Elk Grove Police Department launched new websites this last Friday. They incorporate a fresh, new, modern look, improved navigation, new interactive tools. Visitors can expect an improved digital experience, especially on mobile devices. View the city website at elkgrovecity.org and the police department website at elkgrovepd.org. Interest forms for a lottery for 107 affordable housing units at the Gardens at Quail Run 2 will be accepted on the city's website through this Thursday, November 10th. The project is located on Quail Run Lane near Bruceville Road. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units will be available for qualifying households. Rents will range depending on the unit size and income levels. New units will be ready to move in January. Details are available at the city's website. City has partnered with Explore Elk Grove and the Chamber of Commerce to launch a Why Buy Local holiday campaign through the Elk Grove Local Pass, a mobile experience featuring local retailers, restaurants, and services. E-gift cards are also making their return with a special buy one, get one offer. Visit elkgrovelocalpass.com to learn more. The Veterans Parade is returning this year. Elk Grove American Legion Post 233 will host the Veterans Parade this Friday, November 11th. The event will begin at the Cosumnes CSD Administrative Building, 8820 Elk Grove Boulevard at 11 a.m. and conclude at Elk Grove Boulevard Regional Park. Streets between the CSD building and Elk Grove Park will be closed from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Details on road closures are available on the city's website. City is pleased to sponsor and support 2 other events this month. Chicks in Crisis will host their 5K Gobble Wobble Fun Run on Thanksgiving morning, and the Old Town Elk Grove Foundation will host the Old Town Elk Grove Dickens Street Fair on Saturday, November 26th. These events support local services and the small town feel of the city. Look for more information about these events in the city's current print newsletter. As the weather changes, it signals the close of our seasonal outdoor markets. The last Neighborhood Market for 22 will be held on Thursday, November 17th at District 56. The last Sunday market for the season at the Old Town Plaza will be on November 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Both markets are expected to make a return in spring of 23. And the Americana Vintage Market on the second Saturday of the month at Old Town Plaza will continue through December 17th. Come celebrate the holidays at the city's 3rd annual Illumination Festival on Saturday, December 3rd from 3 to 8 p.m. at District 56. This year's event has been expanded to include more free activities for the entire family. Shop for gifts in the vendor village, enjoy holiday delicacies, celebrate traditions from around the globe, or glide around on the synthetic ice rink. Kids will also enjoy a visit with Santa and the holiday bounce houses and carnival games. The holiday light parade starts at 6 p.m. and will cap off the night with the lighting of the ribbon tree. In accordance with the city holiday schedule, City Hall will be closed this Friday, November 11th for Veterans Day, and then again on November 24th and 25th in observance of Thanksgiving. Trash and recycling remains on the same schedule. So Sacramento Zoological Society and the city have made progress on the conceptual design for the proposed new zoo in Elk Grove and anticipate detailed site plans and renderings to be complete later this month. The notice of preparation, which begins the environmental review process, and preparation of the environmental impact report is also planned for release at the same time. Details, when available, will be posted on the city's website, elkgrovecity.org/zoo. And be sure to sign up for email notices on the website. And then finally, just an election update. Early election results show that Measure E, the Elk Grove's Safety and Quality of Life ballot measure, has approximately 54% of yes votes. There are still an unknown number of ballots left to process. County Election Office has announced that the next election update will be on November 11th, this Friday at 4 p.m. We are thankful for the community's participation throughout this process and will respect the outcome whatever the community decides. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Thank you, sir, for that great report. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go on to our next item. Thank you. I will go ahead and we have our consent calendar items. I'll open up the public comment opportunity. Don't see anyone signed up, so I'll close the public comment opportunity and look for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, next item. Item 8.1. A public hearing to consider an ordinance amending Elk Grove Municipal Code, Chapter 16.95. And second, a resolution accepting the Elk Grove roadway fee 2022 Nexus study update and the Elk Grove active transportation fee 2022 Nexus study, and setting fees for the roadway fee program and the active transportation fee program, CEQA exempt. Hello.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Christopher Jordan. So we are going to go over these items, but real quick, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge a bunch of staff that have been involved in pulling this thing together over the last couple of years. First, Carrie Whitlock on the active transportation program, Kara Taylor Seaman in finance for keeping everything straight and make sure we have a program we can present to you this evening. Our staff from Traffic, Capital Improvement, and Development Services Engineering for reviewing everything. There's been multiple iterations and making sure everything's straight for you. And then finally, our consultants at Michael Baker, Fair and Peers, and GHD. Some of you are here this evening for the technical studies you have. It's really been a team effort in pulling everything together, and we're really proud to have it for you this evening. So I'll go through a number of items on this, because there's a lot of moving parts here in what we're proposing. This is a very comprehensive update to our fee program for roadway and traffic and roadway facilities and active transportation. So just a quick highlights of what we'll be going through. First, just to level set and what our fee programs, these are provided for in state law. They provide a procedure for the fair share of dispersing cost for new capital facilities, including roadways in this case. Oftentimes we have them for, say, police facilities, new vehicles, expansion of staff. Our library facilities are included in the fee program and so forth. And it allows us to be able to say that there's impacts from new development because there's now additional people that live and work in the community, and we need additional public resources in order to serve them. So it creates a reasonable relationship by having these nexus studies between what the impacts created and the cost of providing those new services or expanded services. We do regular updates to these. Some are provided by state law. We do annual CPI or Consumer Price Index updates, which we'll talk about later. Our existing roadway fee program dates from between 2003 and 2005 and was developed in alignment with the then 2003 general plan, new at the time. It replaced several prior county programs that were created prior to incorporation or as a result of the annexation of the Laguna West area in 2003. Based on how the county programs were established and some prior community facilities districts that existed in the Laguna and Laguna West areas, in 2003, we established the system using 5 zones, which are shown here on the map. The majority of our new developing areas today, Laguna Ridge and the Southeast Policy area, are in Zone 1, and you see these older areas of Laguna pieces are in 4 other zones. We've done updates in 2009 and 2014, but these focused really on updating the cost for the facilities and not necessarily rescoping the projects in any meaningful way. Although in 2014, we did add trail facilities to the program. And have been including those since. So for this update, it starts with looking at our new general plan from 2019 and how we've structured those roadway facilities. There were some facilities that went on a diet as a result of not needing as much lane configuration. The facilities in the rural area, based upon the rural road improvement standards and policies, were definitely put on a diet, so to speak, and focusing more on the intersection improvements in those areas rather than lane widening. We also have our new 2021 Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Trails Master Plan. The general plan itself implements Senate Bill 743, which provides for vehicle miles traveled as the threshold for analysis for environmental impacts. Also important, those county CFDs that we inherited after incorporation and the annexation have all dissolved at this point. All the bond proceeds have been paid back. And the tax benefits or tax levies have all been paid off at this point. So there are no lingering procedures there. And then there have been some changes in state law, including AB 602 we'll talk about later. So we went through a stem to stern update of the facilities themselves, rescoped all of them. As part of this, we've changed the nomenclature about how we number and account for these. We're moving to the example that's up here on the screen where we use a prefix letter to identify what type of facility. There are 6 types: segments, intersections, freeway auxiliary lanes, bridges and culverts, roadway grade crossings, and highway interchanges. Then from there, everything gets a number, and if it has a phase component to it, we expect these facilities in some cases to be delivered in multiple phases. We're using a decimal number in order to indicate that. Provides a much better indexing system for these, and as you'll see, the fee credit and reimbursement agreements come forward in the future, we'll be able to reference those a lot more easily. As a result of doing those high-level cost estimates and facility analysis, the total program cost of everything that's in there per the general plan is over $1 billion of infrastructure that's needed to support new development. But that's a really big number to start dividing out across that new development. So we need to start thinking about what are those things that are essentially need to have versus nice to have, and how can we be looking at a variety of funding sources that go into these projects to make them actually work. So we start looking at some of those facilities, and I'll highlight first the railroad grade separation projects. Of those that are identified in the program, 4 of them, Calvine, Sheldon, Elk Grove, Florin, and Bond, we're recommending to not include in the program at this time. First off, from a dollar perspective, at $320 million in order to do them, they are a very large number. And 2, with the amount of development that really is occurring in along those corridors and in that part of the city, there's really more of an existing deficiency issue than there is an issue generated by new development going forward. So the inclusion of those things is not something we're recommending. Second are the urban interchanges. We've identified in prior plans the opportunity for creating grade-separated interchanges along Camera Road at 3 locations, including Bighorn, Bruceville, and Willard. The program, as we had scoped it, had looked at doing preliminary engineering and land reservation for those 3 interchange locations to the tune of about $22.5 million. As you'll recall, we are working on updated plans for the Bighorn area as part of the Camera Road Urban Design Study and are not looking at doing an interchange there in the long term. Bruceville already has a lot of right-of-way set aside as a result of the realignment work that happened last year. And Willard does have a little bit there as well, but there's a lot more that happens there with the grade overcrossing over the railroad tracks than the need necessarily for an interchange. So we're recommending at this time to hold off on those 3 locations. And then finally, we look at what we call third-party funding. These are things including state and federal grants, maybe another fee program, such as something across the region, say the county or the STA regional fee programs, or some other sort of funding source. This could be a community facilities district or other sort of payment opportunity. We've gone through on a project-by-project basis and are estimating that about 36.5% of the overall cost of the program could be covered by these third-party funding sources. So with those changes, we're able to bring the overall cost of the program down to about $433 million. In comparison to the existing program, what's at about $525 million. So a lot of this driven by rescoping of those projects and what's in the general plan allows us to reduce those overall costs. As we'll talk about later, on a per dwelling unit equivalent basis, that's about $9,000 a unit, which is a little bit lower than what it is today. I'll shift over to the active transportation program. This provides dedicated funding sources as part of new construction for multimodal transportation improvements, essentially trails and pedestrian facilities to allow for alternative movements around the community so we get people out of their cars and moving around in other ways. The methodology here is a little bit different than we use in the roadway program. There it's individual projects. Here we use an asset-based methodology where we attribute the lane miles essentially of those types of facilities compared to the existing population, the future population, to derive a value of what those costs are. We think more of these will be city-delivered infrastructure pieces as opposed to a share between city and development interest. So it really makes a little bit more case to do it in this way. And that total program cost is just under $70 million, or about under $1,500 per dwelling unit equivalent. We assess our fees on a land use basis, so we look at the type of activity that's occurring in the new construction, and either based upon how many dwelling units are in it, or the building square footage, or maybe even the lot area, we assess those rates. So it ends up being all proportional to how much trip generation occurs. So we look at the peak hour trip generation that's derived from the Institute for Traffic Engineering trip generation manual. We're moving here, big update into the 11th gen, which is actually going to cause some issues we'll talk about in a moment. We look at the average trip length and percentage of trips that are attributable to the roadway system. That comes from our local traffic model, as well as the vehicle miles traveled data. We've gone through and updated the descriptions for these, using from what we've learned in implementing the existing program, deficiencies that we're seeing in the existing one. Some of those examples in the auto mall, we're recommending moving away from a building square footage calculation to a lot area. As you'll think about the auto mall, there's sort of a whole variety depending upon the type of dealership or the brand that's there. You may have a very small building, like in the case of Mazda. You have a very large building, say in the case of Toyota. But all that stock is really outside the building, so it's not necessarily fair to attribute it on a building square footage. It's more the lot area that makes sense. Similarly, on theaters and cinemas, we're recommending moving away from the building square footage to a per seat basis. As we think about maybe more higher end movie theater experiences, there's less square footage per seat in the theater than there has been historically. On the residential side, we're recommending moving away from just a set dollar value based upon the type, say multifamily or single family, and instead looking at building size. This is actually something that a new state law, AB 602, is requiring, but it's something we had been looking at prior to that legislation. And essentially allows us to be able to say that the proportionality of the impact is based upon that square footage, not just is it single family or multifamily. So it gives us a more accurate read about what those costs are. So how we're breaking that down is shown in this table. Essentially, not all single family becomes the same. Again, it's treated on that square footage basis. We've also merged what we would historically call single family and multifamily together into this residential traditional, and then we separate out the senior adult or the age restricted products separately. And again, it's because those trip dynamics are different based on the household size, the dynamics of that household, that allows us to do this and create a more equitable distribution of those costs. All of our fee programs include an administrative fee rate. This covers a variety of staff time in assessing and collecting the fee, the Nexus study updates themselves, capital planning, our contingencies for city-delivered projects, and other costs. Historically, we've been using 4% as the administrative rate for our fee programs. For this one, we did a very comprehensive review of what our cost on an annual basis has been relative to the revenue in these programs. For finance expenses, it's averaging about 1.6%. For CIP administration, a little over 6%. We're recommending a combined 5.5% for the admin. So a little bit up from what it has been historically, but more in line with our actual cost. So all that leads to this table with the proposed fee rates. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it line by line because it is quite detailed, but I'll highlight a few things. First, over on the residential side, you'll see as a result of these changes that the smaller residential products and those with smaller household sizes are seeing some very large reductions in the overall rates that will be charged, whereas larger residential units, say above 2,000 square feet and really above 3,400 square feet, you are seeing larger increases, or you actually are seeing increases there on that side. On the commercial side, for shopping center and gas stations, it's essentially a wash, only about 1% up or down on those categories. Jumping down to industrial and hotel motel, we're also seeing reductions there that are quite sizable. Office, though, is seeing a 9% increase. This is as a result of a couple of factors, a couple of issues worth highlighting. The real big one, though, is that change in the IT trip generation manual and the trip lengths that are called out in those technical studies that we're seeing there. But office is really important for Elk Grove as a community. Having more office production in the community allows for reduced vehicle miles traveled, reduced greenhouse gas emissions. There's a lot of alignment with our city policies and code requirements. But we are also seeing depressed office development in the market. We've been hearing from office developers for a number of months. We're seeing it anecdotally in the market that office development is really depressed. Coming out of COVID and sort of the economic conditions that we've got today are certainly an issue. So we're presenting two options for your consideration this evening. The first, detailed out in a table in the report, would take the existing Zone 2 rates, where we have a lot of office area that has some infill opportunity. It has some prior project approvals in those areas, and holding that Zone 2 rate throughout 2023, that combined rate's just a little under $7 a square foot, and then we would increase it in stages over 5 years. An alternative to that could be just to hold that Zone 2 rate in perpetuity, and we would revisit that with the next major update to the program in about 5 years. So two options for you there. For the CPI adjustments, a couple of changes here, but again, this allows us to then look at what those cost increases are as a result of inflation or maybe even deflation when it hopefully happens again. Basis relative to what we're seeing in the construction markets. We do this annually every January 1st. We can historically use the Caltrans price index, but we're recommending moving from the third quarter data to the second quarter data. We use a 3-year rolling average of this. Moving to this earlier quarter allows better notification to the development community about what those increases or potential decreases would be for the coming calendar year. We've gone ahead and run those numbers for the coming 2023 year, and shockingly, it's about a 7.5% reduction. This actually makes a bit of sense when you think about this 3-year rolling average is really focused around the early period of COVID. We are expecting next year to have a fairly sizable increase because we will then have 2022 data in that 3-year average. So nice to see a decrease here and good for starting out of the program, but certainly something to be aware of for next calendar year. The last edit are over in the municipal code section, so certainly we need to add the active transportation program, but we do want to make some, or propose some edits in how we deal with development projects and their credit reimbursement agreements. We do these for any project that's been conditioned or required to do improvements to the roadway system that are called for in the fee program itself. Some of these deal with first off, the nature of the agreements themselves are with the developer and not the project. So the developer then holds the credits. You really can't do an agreement with a project itself. It needs to be with the developer. And then in terms of the timing and execution of that agreement, clarifying when that needs to happen, and also providing a grace period so that when we are doing big updates like this and adding projects that really weren't in there before, and there are several that we've been able to go back and add that just have been missed in prior updates, that there's an opportunity to get those agreements in place even though those projects have moved forward into construction. So that language is included for your review. So staff's recommendation is to go ahead and introduce the ordinance and then adopt the resolution, adopting those nexus studies and setting the fee programs. And again, for your consideration are options 1 and 2 for the office rates. Concludes my presentation. We're available to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jordan. At this time, I will go ahead and declare that the public hearing is open and open up the public comment opportunity. I do not see anybody signed up, so I'll close the public comment opportunity and declare the public hearing is now closed. And open it up for council comments, questions? Yes, Councilmember Hume.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, great presentation, Christopher. I really commend you on how concisely you put a lot of complex stuff into digestible chunks. In the staff report, it referenced AB 610, and then in the presentation you just gave, it referenced AB 602.
Yep. My apologies. There was a mistype in the staff report. It should be 602.
Okay, that's what I thought because I couldn't find an AB 610 that made any sense. But what I would like to clarify is that this tiered structure applies to single and multifamily residential. It is solely based on the dwelling size of the unit, correct?
Correct. So it's best to think of it as we're merging single family and multifamily together into this traditional category. Senior adult, same thing. We're merging multifamily and single family senior adult together into one bracket. And then we're diversifying based upon the square footage of the unit. So it's simply, is it age restricted or not? And then what's the square footage of the unit? Those are the classifications. We don't look at whether there's 3 units attached to each other or 2 units or 1 unit by itself. None of those questions need to be asked anymore. And we are seeing some projects that have been proposed to us that are pushing the boundaries of what's defined as a multifamily versus single family or historically, and moving this way allows us to answer those questions in a completely different way that's more in line with the actual impacts.
Great. Well, I just have to say that I don't often praise legislative edicts to local land use control. In fact, I usually deride them. But I have to say this is something that I had been noodling for a while now. I did not realize that since 2021 it's been an adopted change to California. I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and it incentivizes something that the market may not want to do by itself or can't do by itself. And in order to get a diversity of housing stock that allows for that entry level product, allows for folks to build maybe something that makes a little more sense for the community and not just the most that they can fit on the lot. And so I think that's good. And I think it also recognizes a reality that we're looking at today, whereas in some of these larger houses, they are now becoming multi-generational to where the impacts are greater than just a traditional single family unit. And so I think that is absolutely a good change. And I would encourage you as we go forward to look at if there's any other fees or any other ways that we can sort of come at this issue the same way to encourage something that we want to see that the market isn't producing on its own. And then the last thing that I would say is relative to those office fees, for the reasons that you listed, given that it is in such a state of flux of what the new quote unquote work environment is, whether it's going to remain remote or go back to traditional or some hybrid thereof. I support keeping the existing fee structure indefinitely and looking at it with the next comprehensive update.
Vice Mayor Sen?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everybody. I want to take a moment to echo Councilmember Hume's comments as well. I think it's very appropriate what you've done here, not just but because it was a legislative mandate, but I think we talked about it as well. How do we incentivize different building types? The missing middle is what we talked about, getting those building types built, and this is one way. I also want to take a moment, Christopher, to just commend you and the entire staff on the amount of work. I'm not sure people realize the amount of work. I mean, you mentioned it because I was listening to the beginning of your presentation in here, stripping down everything and taking all the different pieces of infrastructure for our community decades out and being able to parcel that and then divide it on projections of dwelling units and dwelling unit equivalents and dividing it. And then you added I'm really glad to see the active transportation component as well, breaking that out. We often had to explain, why that was part of a roadway fee program. And so, again, a lot of work went into this, but I commend you because not only, is it in itself a lot of work, but the diligence that you put forth in addressing things like how we address price escalations. You have a few things in here in the revisions, and one of them I think is a lot of comments we receive from applicants, which is how we do the reimbursement agreements, where it's to the developer and not a project, because a lot of us know here that a lot of these projects get sold off to other people, and then we as staff are trying to figure out who do we provide these credits to, and that is a whole other accounting nightmare. So just want to shine some daylight on a little bit of the details that staff has to deal with. And so again, a lot of work, but really well done. And I agree with Councilmember Hume. It's counterintuitive to me. We want to incentivize office, but we were going to increase it so much. And I recognize, associating traffic impacts or trip generations with those uses. However, again, trying to incentivize office becoming a more balanced community, creating jobs, I think is going to take a little bit more effort. And again, given the currently the uncertainty in the market right now, holding it where we are at this point, the fee structure for office is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Spies or Councilmember Nguyen, any questions?
I don't have questions, just a few quick comments. First thing is, I'm in one of those careers that people don't really want to hear about exactly how everything is done. They say nobody wants to know how the sausage is made, right? There was a whole lot of sausage in here, and I know there was a whole lot of moving parts, right?
Good.
I know that was a little awkward and weird, but that's okay. But I know there were a whole lot of moving parts and things that were done here, and there was a lot of considerations. And one of the downsides of having a very concise and clean presentation is that sometimes people overlook the amount of work that was actually done. And so I want to thank you, and I want to thank the rest of the team for doing that. Without going further, I'd be supportive of it, and I would support the option 2.
Was that a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there already was a motion down there. I'm happy to make a motion with option 2.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm going down the line. Any questions?
No, I'll make it quick. Thank you, and I agree.
In the interest of brevity, ditto. Great presentation. So we have a motion and a second.
I think our first motion for the evening is an ordinance. So I just ask from the
Read that into the record.
Councilmember Spies.
Oh, good Lord. Hang on a second.
It's a short one.
There we go.
So-
It's right. Oh, there's an and in there. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Introduce and waive the full reading by substitution of title only, an ordinance amending Elk Grove Municipal Code, Chapter 16.95, Development Impact Fees, and... Somebody's got a second.
Oh, second. Okay. Sorry.
There's an awkward and in there. I get the awkward stuff tonight. Okay, so...
But you were going to add something else to that motion.
Hey, I'm just reading. So you got a motion and a second.
And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So let me finish my sentence.
Yes.
And adopt resolution accepting the Elk Grove roadway fee 2022 Nexus study update, and the Elk Grove active transportation fee 2022 Nexus study, and setting the roadway impact fees and active transportation fees, including option 2.
What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
That was the second motion.
That was
He's
the
correct.
second
I'll
motion.
second it.
Okay, you just have to say motion too. That's okay.
Oh, well, but I hadn't put option 2 in.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm
All good, all
Second.
good. We know we're,
Yeah.
You're killing me.
I know.
we have a second here. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next item, item 8.2.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Sarah Bontrager, your Housing and Public Services Manager. I'm here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the application that we hope to file for the permanent local housing allocation. The permanent local housing allocation is funded by SB2, which in 2017 added a $75 recording fee to most property transfers in order to support affordable housing. So starting in 2019, 70% of the fees are allocated to local governments for housing and homelessness activities. Over the period from 2019 to 2023, this is expected to generate $2.6 million for Elk Grove. So we'd like to file an application to get the fees, which requires us to have a certified housing element, complete an application, and adopt a 5-year plan for expenditure. So a little bit of background on eligible uses. They're pretty broad, including development of affordable rental or ownership housing, providing services for permanent supportive housing projects, providing assistance to people experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness, including rental assistance, street outreach, case management, supportive services. We can also use the funds to pay for operating or capital costs for emergency shelter or transitional housing, for accessibility modifications for low-income homeowners, or down payment assistance programs. The program does have a time frame for expenditure, so we have a certain period of time to expend the funds. As a result of that and some discussions that we've had with some of our nonprofits on community needs, we are proposing to use the majority of the funds to make loans to developers of affordable rental housing. This would add to what we have in our affordable housing fund to provide gap financing on proposed projects. It could be used on projects that were on sites that developers selected or on projects that are planned for city-owned land. And we hope to move forward with a couple of pieces that the city owns early next year. We have allocated a smaller chunk of the funding, or are proposing to allocate that to a second homeless services navigator. One of the things that we've heard from our nonprofits is that we need more qualified and trained people in the community. And so our thought is that this would allow one of our navigators to serve mostly encampments and single adults, and then a second navigator to focus primarily on families and possibly seniors as well. Those two populations often have very different needs, and so we could have navigators that were really aware of the services and resources that are focused on those two types of populations. And then the grant allows for some amount of funds to be set aside for administration. So tonight we would like for you to approve the 5-year plan and the filing of the application. That's it for my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, nice and concise. Thank you for that. I will declare the public hearing now open and open up the public comment opportunity. I do not see anyone sign up, so I'll close the public comment opportunity and declare that the public hearing is now closed. Any questions for Ms. Bontrager? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item. Item 8.3.
And that's our public hearing to consider the 85th annexation to Community Facilities District Number 2006-1 for maintenance services.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Renee Attar, Finance Analyst for the city. I'm here this evening with a really brief presentation for proposed annexation into city special tax districts. Familiar background information, the city maintains 8 special tax districts which provide funding for infrastructure for services. Annexations into the appropriate districts are typically part of a new development project's approval process. The requirements are specific for each project and vary according to the geographic location and building use. The special taxes are subject to annual rate adjustments. On September 28th, the City Council adopted a resolution of intent to annex the parcels for the Souza Dairy Units 1 through 4 project into a special tax district and to establish tonight's public hearing. The project is being proposed for annexation into CFD 2006-1 for maintenance services. This is the 85th annexation into the CFD, and the assessment will be levied in perpetuity. There's only one project. It's Souza Dairy Units 1 through 4. The project is comprised of the first 4 units or villages of the Souza Dairy project, which consists of 726 single-family units located southeast of Whitelaw Parkway and Bighorn Boulevard. This project was annexed into Police Services CFD 2003-2 and Street Maintenance District 1, Zone 5 on September 14th. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you for that. I will go ahead and declare the public hearing for CFD 2006-1 Annex 85 open and open up the public comment opportunity. Nobody is signed up, so I'll close the public comment opportunity and declare the public hearing for CFD 2006-1 Annex 85 closed. And look for motion A1.
Excuse me, motion A1.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and may I request the results of the ballot tabulation?
Indeed, of 726 possible votes, 726 affirmative votes were cast, authorizing the city of Elk Grove to levy a special tax at the rate apportioned and described. The measure passes with more than 2/3 of all votes cast in the election in favor of the measure. A resolution declaring the results of the election is available for council consideration.
Motion A2.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion A3, introduce and waive the full reading by substitution of title only, an ordinance levying and apportioning the special tax in the 85th annexation to Communities District Number 2006-1 Maintenance Services and amending Elk Grove Municipal Code Section 3.19.010.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item, we are on to our regular agenda action items, 9.1.
This is to consider resolutions approving final maps and subdivision improvement agreements for Souza Dairy Units 1, 2, and 3, and I think there's also a public improvement agreement in there, but I'll let Mr. Wilson detail.
That's correct. Good evening, Mayor. Members of the council, this will be pretty short because last item you just approved was the annexation, which is a requirement of these final maps. That's why it's on the regular agenda item. Typically, these are on consent calendar, so this is approval of final maps for Souza Dairy Units 1, 2, and 3, and giving the authorization to the city manager to enter into those public improvement agreements necessary to secure those improvements required of those projects. So the maps have been reviewed against the previous approved tentative parcel map or tentative subdivision map, and it substantially complies with that, and all applicable conditions of approval have been met. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. I'll open up the public comment opportunity. Nobody signed up, so I'll close out the public comment opportunity. And if you don't have any questions, I'll look for a motion.
No questions, but I do just want to say you didn't preface your presentation like Renee did by saying you were going to give us a great presentation. So I found your presentation just satisfactory.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't live up to Renee. So.
Well, it's tough to do, I can say that. But with that, given a satisfactory presentation, I will move to adopt the 3 resolutions of staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. On to our next item, 9.2.
This is the review of city council ad hoc committees. I hope to make a satisfactory presentation. It's very brief on this item. Inside of the staff report are our ad hoc committees. This is the annual review that we do every November. This isn't about the membership or who serves on the committees. This is just if they're going to continue on for the end of 2022, but then come back for review of November 2023. No actions required if the committees are to continue, but we do ask if any of the committees are desired to be terminated, that we take a vote on that. Satisfactory?
Satisfactory.
Bonus points for brevity, though.
All right, at this time, I'll open up the public comment opportunity. Seeing no one signed up, I'll close the public comment opportunity. There are a few, I believe, that we would like to review for removal from the ad hoc committee. Can we pull up the list here for public purview? Is that?
I can do that. Just to give me a moment.
Yep. All right, there we go.
So work out.
Mayor, I have a suggestion. For the economic development ad hoc, I think in general, they can get rid of it, but I would wanted to see if council would consider substituting for maybe a Project Elevate ad hoc. Given the complexity of that project, that's going to be most likely some sort of public-private partnership, so.
I mean, I would certainly be open to that. Yeah, so I'm
Do
seeing
you want to get
nods.
rid of Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee?
I'd like to get rid of Economic Task Force Ad Hoc Committee as well, because that's COVID, thankfully, is behind us.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to remove that one. The State and Federal Legislative Discussions Ad Hoc Committee. I mean, I'm good with removal of that as well.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're really looking at making it a standing committee.
Yeah,
at this
can I get some clarification on that? All four of these committees are being recommended to be removed from ad hoc status because they risk being standing committees, is that correct?
No. Yes? No.
No, that's not,
These are just our standing ad hoc committees. I would like to continue the homelessness strategies, obviously with new membership, since our two colleagues won't be here. And we can review those when we look at other committees with our other boards and commissions. That's the only one I would recommend standing.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I think the Vice Mayor wanted to add the Project Elevate one though, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
as a substitute.
Yeah, thank you.
But, so my only push to that is, given that it is, homelessness is something that is near and an immediate issue, right? Do you think that it would be possible that if there was a need down the line for Project Elevate, to bring that up at that time, right? Would that give us enough? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I would be supportive of keeping homelessness strategies an ad hoc committee and disbanding the rest, understanding, of course, that we may need to bring something back for Project Elevate.
Yeah,
I can go either way, but I just wanted to bring that up.
I appreciate that. I've had some conversations with staff, and I think it might be appropriate to do it.
I mean, I'm open to doing it now, and then we can review later in terms of the committee membership.
Yeah.
When we have our new council seated and we look at all boards and commissions.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at, if I see consensus here, is removing the three and then adding Project Elevate,
The Project Elevate Ad Hoc Committee.
ad hoc committee, as a new ad hoc committee.
Second?
Motion.
Yeah, we're good.
Second, yep.
We're just looking for
Yeah,
direction.
what
I
else
don't know
do
that
you
you
need?
need.
Councilmember Hughes.
Actually, I appreciate the vote on the
Right.
matter. So I think I'm going with a motion
The
from
motion.
Wynn and a second from Hume. But if we could take that vote, that would
Yeah,
be great.
okay, all those in favor for that, for the new ad hoc committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and so let's do a formal motion then to, if we need it, for the removal of the other three.
That we would appreciate as well. So
Okay, so
can include
so I need a motion to remove the Legislative Discussions Ad hoc Committee, the Economic Development Ad hoc Committee, and the COVID-19 Economic Task Force Ad hoc Committee.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. So naturally, the other one remains.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So we are moving along here to our council comments, reports, and future agenda items. I'll start with Councilmember Nguyen.
Nothing to report.
Come on. Don't make me look bad.
I'll let you go first since you've been here longer.
All right.
Yes, out of respect for
age.
I used
the
to
more
like you, Mayor.
experience.
Wisdom.
We only have so many
I
more
know,
opportunities
seniority.
here,
We'll
so
go
we
with
gotta.
seniority. Or
This is my last council report ever. I have to report for duty to establish a quorum at the next council meeting, but this is the last time I will be weighing in on matters of substance. And I just want to say to everyone in this room, many of you I've known for years and have watched you flourish in your careers. Some of you are new in your positions and new to the city. And some of you have been diligent servants for a long time and really have I think, a great foundation that we've established. We've kind of started to come into our own of adolescence of the city and really hitting our stride. And I just think it's a great trajectory we're on, and that is evidenced by what it appears that the voters have said on Tuesday night as far as their optimism about the future of Elk Grove and where we are and where we're going. And I couldn't be more proud of all of you and the city as a whole. And I'm proud to live here, and I'm proud to have put whatever little mark on it I have. And it's been a fun journey, and I know that next meeting we'll probably have recognitions and all that kind of jazz. But I just wanted to say that while it was kind of a quiet moment and ability to just say thank you for everything that you do and everything that you're doing for the city, and Godspeed and good luck to everybody as you continue forward.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Okay, see, I wanted you to go first. This is my last meeting as well, too. Should the numbers stay the way they are, this would be my last one because I would be sworn in December 5th. Is that okay to say that, Mr. Attorney? Okay, great. And so should that be the case, this would be my last meeting. I just want to thank all of you sitting in this room for helping me get to where I'm at. As a new council member, a lot of things you have to learn. I always sat on the other side and attended council meetings in the city of Citrus Heights and the city of Sacramento, not realizing what happens back here. And what I thought I knew and what I thought it was nothing like what I thought I knew and what I thought it was. And so I appreciate all of you for helping me to get this far. I've been through 2 city managers and an opportunity to get our wonderful police chief here. And this is a city that I have 2 young kids who go to school here. And, as you know, my husband works here as well, too. And we're really fortunate to be surrounded by such dedicated and committed staff, but also my colleagues. I've watched other councils in other cities, and I can honestly say that they don't have the same jazz and gel as we do here. And I appreciate that because that makes the job here so much more fun, makes it so much more easy in the sense of being able to have conversations, being able to agree to disagree, and then walk away and then come back again and have these great conversations and agree on one thing, and that is what's the best thing for our city and for our community here. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me the honor of being up here and serving with all of you. And thank you for everything.
Kevin,
I guess that's me. Okay. Great. So I guess 2 things, and I guess either way I say them, this will break up make it a little bit weirder. So I'll take the first.
Weirder.
Well, I mean, I know everybody's talking about these sentimental things, and one thing I have to talk about is not sentimental. Just to follow up relative to the Union Pacific Railroad. Either way I was going to go, it was going to break it up. I'm sorry, folks.
Good.
Anyway, relative to the Union Pacific Railroad, I mentioned the last time that they had reached out to us. We had a meeting last week. We had the opportunity to show them the Arctic. We also had an opportunity to explain to them kind of some of our residents' frustrations relative to some of the malfunctions. We discovered that some of them aren't malfunctions, some of them are by design, but it was a very good conversation. There is much more to come. They're very open to the idea of some sort of partnership or some sort of working together where we can get more visibility on the railroad tracks and the the surrounding areas. So there isn't a whole lot more progress relative to that, but I do want to, because apparently Union Pacific listens to our meetings, but I do want to thank them very much for reaching out to us and being very proactive and open to the conversations. And I think there's actually some really good synergies that we can have. And again, thank you very much to the Arctic, and thank you, Chief, for letting me put you on the spot at the last minute with Union Pacific Railroad. So thanks. Okay, so now to get back to, so before the last election, there was a change relative to how we vote for representatives for our city council. And it's some people don't recognize how different it is now than it was then. And one of the outcomes from it can be that future council persons can take a look at their district as kind of a silo, right? But what we did 2 years ago, the five of us committed to do, was to make certain that we work together for one Elk Grove. We do represent different districts, but our goal is towards one Elk Grove. And I want to thank you very much for your commitment to that. And it has been an absolute pleasure. I know you both as friends before we were colleagues. And so I thank you for that. Well, I won't be here next time at the next meeting. I'll be on vacation. I will be participating via Zoom. So I do want to thank you. It's been an honor to serve with you. And I am going to miss this teamwork fellowship that we currently have. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Vice Mayor Suen.
Thanks, Mayor. Wow, I'm really glad I made it back for this meeting.
I wish you were wearing your little blue beard.
Just a few hours ago. It
cold
was
in New
cold. It
York.
got cold. Went from 75 to 30. Anyway, wow, I just don't know where to begin. I mean, first of all, to the five of us, I agree wholeheartedly with what Kevin just said. I mean, we all known each other for quite some time and have had very good relationships before then, before we started working together for the business of the city and the city as a whole. And I think it's a culture that it shows that the success and seeing Elk Grove flourish. I think it demonstrates if we're able to work together what we can accomplish. And so I also want to just say I'm very pleased at the trends that happened last night without getting into details about it. But so congrats to all of you on that, the three of you. But to my two colleagues, Councilmember Hume, Councilmember Nguyen, we've had a little bit more time together, and so this is bittersweet for me. I'm so happy for both of you. And I'm not surprised, however, both of the quality of leaders that you both are. I think the region is much better off. I think the right choices were made. But just knowing you personally as friends and colleagues, and I'm just really going to miss working with you for the betterment of Elk Grove. We had a lot of, I dare say, fun in this community service, and it is community service. And if, there should be an element of fun to it, and you should enjoy it, and it should be rewarding. And so I think with the last 5 years, last 8 years, it's been all of that with you. So congratulations. I didn't realize you weren't going to be here for the last meeting, so bummed we won't see you next time. So just know, my heart, I'm going to miss you both.
Oh, boy. This is hard. We have such a wonderful team here. I know you both personally. I'm going to start with you, Stephanie. Councilmember Nguyen, when you first applied for the vacancy, I sat there with you in that chair, holding your hands, hoping for a great outcome, because I believed in you then. I knew you were a great community leader and public servant, whether you held a fancy title or not. Your heart was always there with the community. And to watch you over the years step up to that role and just do such a remarkable job. This is unique. This what we have here, this chemistry, this camaraderie, diversity of thought, but what binds us is our love of community and our respect, our mutual respect of each other. And that's very rare. And that's not lost on me. I wish you the best of luck. I'm so proud of you. I love your little girls. And to see, I look forward to seeing them grow up and seeing your success through their eyes. You make us all proud. And to you, my dear friend, who I've known the longest, although it's a toss-up between you and the vice mayor, give or take a few months. Oh, so many moons ago, you shared that olive branch with me, which is not a story that everybody knows, but it explains so much about our friendship. And that's what this is, a genuine, authentic friendship that was born when you were first elected. We were not on the same side, but you extended that olive branch because we knew we needed to work together. That was Tuesday, and by Friday you were at my house. But that the character of who you are and your love of community outside of all partisanship. You took someone that didn't share, well, we had the shared vision, but we just had a disagreement of who. And to build on that friendship, to show our community of what true bipartisanship can look like. Because most of our issues are not partisan in nature. And so we've always had that common ground that we always come to. So I want to thank you for your friendship. Our city is absolutely better because you stepped up and served. You've done such a remarkable job leaving your legacy. And so to both of your replacements, whomever they are, we won't know, maybe we know, but they have big shoes to fill. And I'm just honored to have served with you and not just be one of your greatest champions from the side. I'm glad that I got to be here with you for at least 2 years. And I know there's great things coming for you as well. Our city thanks you both for your tremendous service. I could easily ugly cry right now, but I'm trying to maintain decorum. Just thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Our city thanks you, loves you, respects you, celebrates you. Thank you for stepping up yet again, for wanting to continue this madness of public service. But it takes special people to step up, and I thank you both. Congratulations for your service to our city and your continued role that I know you will have. Clap on that. I have no other, I don't have a report, so I want to end on that for myself, so. We don't want to talk about Union Pacific. So with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 8:08. The special meeting we will be conducting here next. And so I will call to order, I'll convene the special meeting of the City Council today at 8:08. So we will be in closed session, but anything, the clerk, you need to do any disclaimers?
I'll just note visually that we have all 5 members of the council. For this evening, we do not have any members of the public that are signed up to speak on the closed session. But before you do leave, I do need to announce those items on the closed session. and I'll work through those now. Item 2A, Conference of Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation on 2 matters. Item 2B, Conference of Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation on initiation of litigation for 1 matter. Item 2C is Conference with Legal Counsel on existing litigation for 7 matters, the first being Oak Rose Apartments versus the City of Elk Grove. Item matters 2, 3, and 4 are Ferial Kabir versus, and then variations versus the City of Elk Grove on 3 cases listed in the agenda, the special agenda listing. Matters 5 and 6 are Gasol Kabir, related to litigation versus the City of Elk Grove, as listed in the special agenda. And the 7th matter is Frank Freno and Stephanie Freno versus City of Elk Grove. And item 2D is Public Employee Performance Evaluation for position of City Manager.
All right, we will be in closed session. Thank you.